Hello, welcome to Premium Quality Ideas. I'm Christina. Do you have your coffee? If so, let's get started. Alright, today is very exciting because I found a resource that is actually many resources. So on Arizona State University's Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College Next Education Workforce website, they have a space for school spotlights. One of those schools that I found to be really exciting is Whittier Elementary School. This is because in Whittier Elementary School, they're doing a lot of personalized learning. They're also using educator teams to work with a cohort of students, and they have redesigned some of their learning spaces. All right, this first resource is the Whittier Elementary School profile. All right, students in grades 4 through 6 will be part of multi-age learning communities known as houses. That reminds me of Hogwarts. Do you know which house you'd be in if you were in Hogwarts? I know mine. You'll have to wait and find out in a later video, and I'll show you. Oh, and this is cool. So in each house, there are a team of 3 certified teachers and 2 Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College teacher candidates, essentially pre-service teachers who are doing their clinical experience. Whittier Elementary is a Title I school in Mesa, Arizona, that serves approximately 550 students in grades pre-K through 6. And if you didn't know, a Title I school is a school that is utilizing a federally funded program in the United States for disadvantaged students to be able to access the academics that they really need to be successful. It's a great program and many schools have it. So Whittier has designed their education teams to include educators with distributed expertise. It's an interesting way to say it. And one of those teachers is the lead teacher, and the core education team divvies up the responsibilities for the content area. So for example, if my friends Camila and Barbara and I, from my past 3rd grade team, wanted to divide up the responsibilities of different content areas, perhaps one of us would take math, maybe me. Maybe Camila would take science and social studies, and perhaps Barbara would take the lead on language arts, which includes reading, writing, phonics, grammar, etc. Each team meets regularly to examine student data, adjust routines, discuss classroom management, and craft student-centered learning experiences. Yeah, like most teams. To make this possible, the house teams will engage in daily co-planning, made possible by adjustments to the master schedule. You'll see it soon. As a learning community grows together, they might incorporate community educators. This is an interesting thing in Whittier Elementary as well, because oftentimes you'll have parents and leaders in the community who want to be part of the school or the classroom, but you don't want to give them a job such as cutting out papers or making a bulletin board, because they have so much more expertise than that. So Whittier Elementary has devised a program so that these community educators can be part of actually instructing students and sharing their interests, their passions, and their expertise with learners. There are so many great ideas in these documents, but as teachers know, there's never enough time in the day. So that is where Premium Quality Ideas comes in. We want to go through these resources, find the beautiful nuggets, the light bulb ideas for you, and make sure you're aware of them in a capacity that is reasonable for you, such as a YouTube video that you might be watching or listening to right now. All right, another area where Whittier Elementary is really putting their focus is on personalized learning. And most of us know that making sure students are connected to their learning is one of the keys to making sure they're engaged and they understand and they really keep that knowledge year to year. Whittier educators embrace the shift described by John Spencer and A.J. Giuliani in Empower: What Happens When Students Own Their Learning, 2017. Another thing I find really interesting and exciting about Whittier Elementary is they want their learners to stay in the same house with those same educators for 3 years. And this allows the development of extended relationships between their peers and with their educators. If you've ever had a class that has continued with the same educator for multiple years, you know how powerful that can be. Oftentimes, a preschool teacher might loop up with a kindergarten class, or a 5th grade teacher might loop up with a 6th grade class. When I was in school, I had my AP classes, advanced placement, for chemistry and for literature, and I had those teachers for 2 years, and they're definitely the 2 teachers that stand out the most in my mind as being very effective and impactful on my learning, probably because they knew me pretty well. After a year of working with someone, you definitely understand their strengths and their areas of growth, much more than if you have to spend a few weeks to a few months at the beginning getting to know them all over again. So I like that Whittier Elementary is taking advantage of the idea that I already know you, I already know how to help you and guide you. Let's work together right away. Another point about staying in the same cohort is that the educators get to know their families very well. So oftentimes it's a relationship dynamic between a new family and an educator where you're trying to understand what each other is saying and what each other needs. But if you already know that educator, if you've already worked with that family, you are just in this continual relationship of growth. And going from grade 5 into grade 6, when there's so much emotional and social growth, knowing the family really well and the student is probably incredibly impactful. Here is the very exciting thing that I want to show you. It's their schedule. This was the first tab that I had opened when I was searching for resources, and I just thought, that's the idea I've had. But here it is actually in practice. And that's another reason why we have made premium quality ideas, because sometimes you'll think, what if they could do that? What if we could try this? And knowing that it already exists, it's already possible, is so much more fulfilling, and it gives you the evidence that you might need to convince a supervisor, admin, a school board, etc. So here is the beautiful schedule. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at Whittier Elementary, students attend 3 sessions of learning, 1 session of mindfulness, and a session of reflection. I also like that they call these learning sessions instead of classes. Then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, students have 3 sessions in the morning and the deep dive in the afternoon. They also have a morning meeting, very important. And I love this block of time here in the middle where students have specials, recess, lunch, and educators, we have co-planning time. For example, if I want to work with the 4th grade team, I don't have a common planning time with them because I'm in 3rd grade. And in this schedule, you'll see there's no lunchtime dedicated for educators, but we all know that once you're sitting at lunch with your educators, you're already co-planning. You're talking about, what are we going to do for that unit? How did that student do today? I saw that person talking to this person. Was that conversation successful? It's, you might as well bring your lunch along. Now, not to say that I don't think educators deserve a full lunchtime, peace and quiet in your room. That's what I always gave myself, some decompression time. But knowing that you have this large block of time where students are completely taken care of, you're not on duty for recess or lunch or taking them back and forth to specials, that is so freeing. And I imagine that those 10 educators at Whittier Elementary really use that time to its max. All right, here it is. So during remote learning, Whittier Elementary really prioritized student-educator relationships. And the educators even asked the students which educator they would approach if they needed help or advice. The students' responses guided the creation of multi-age homeroom structures within their house. The students would meet briefly in homerooms 4 days a week and for a longer period on Wednesdays. The Wednesday homeroom, which lasted 90 minutes, focused on building strong relationships between teachers and students, and relationships between students and their own learning. It just sounds like, of course, right? Because if I was assigned to work with my math teacher through remote learning, but I didn't have a close relationship with them, I didn't really attach to their style of teaching, but if I had been asked who I would rather work with and said my social studies teacher, and that was possible, I can imagine that my learning during COVID would have been much more successful. Now, I'm saying that in, putting myself in the shoes of a student because I was a teacher during the pandemic. Also, during the pandemic, Whittier Elementary focused on really understanding the needs of their teacher candidates, the pre-service teachers, who, this was the semester that they were supposed to be student teachers. They were learning on the job, but they weren't able to be with students. They weren't able to take on a lot of the responsibilities that they normally would have because of the circumstance. So at Whittier Elementary, the staff realized this, and they said that while the residents may be novices in other respects, they've brought expertise in many much needed areas. For example, they have deep expertise in technology, including the use of cameras, streaming platforms, learning software, and digital tools that could be central to the effective instruction for remote learners. And that makes a lot of sense, right? Use the ideas from a generation that has grown up on technology, that uses it like it's part of them. And especially for wanting to help during the pandemic and help teachers who might have been less familiar with technology. I love that at Whittier and with the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College residents, they collaborated. They didn't ask them to sit to the side or wait or try another semester. They said, how can you help us? Where's your expertise? Where's your strength? And it's just such a good message. All right. We are at the learning spaces layout. So every school eventually redesigns their spaces, right? And maybe there is and maybe there isn't a most correct way, but we do know that flexible seating, having spaces where students can engage in conversation, having spaces that are central to instructor facing and student facing learning is very intentional. I like here how there is an educator's desk in some of these classrooms. And this is a topic that sometimes comes up in the literature. Should you have a teacher desk? Why or why not? I haven't fully decided. I've tried it some years, and then other years I felt like I really wanted to have a specific desk for myself. But what do you think? Let me know below. Oh, this is cool. In the language arts room, there is a dog crate. Lots of seating options for rearranging and regrouping. The service dog. One teacher brings her service dog and students sign up for opportunities to take care of him. And the students use cubbies. All right. So that is Whittier Elementary School in words, but of course there's always more. So if we go to YouTube, I found that Next Education Workforce has uploaded a Zoom meeting led by teachers and admin at Whittier Elementary School. And this was uploaded about a year ago, but it gives a lot more of a sense of how they transitioned their school. Oftentimes we find great resources and say, your school looks amazing. Your kids are learning so much. How did you get there? And I find that this Zoom talk, which is about 45 minutes long, does really help me understand how they set up their community and their education teams to really make sure that it's about relationships, it's about the kids, it's about making sure that we're all on the same page. So perhaps this Zoom call would be something to send to an administrator or a principal or another team lead, where you can talk about how can we transition from where we are now to where we're going. I also love that they use a lot of light bulbs. It's my branding. They also have cohorts between 1 and K, 2 and 3, and 4 through 6. And they use a personalized learner profile. Light bulbs everywhere. So one interesting thing about Whittier Elementary is it is a public school, and they're a Title I school. They receive federal funding. They do not have billionaire money, they're not run as a tech corporation, and they don't look like it. How can we get there? We don't have billions, we don't have the style. You don't need it. I found this video from Mesa Public Schools that just spotlights Whittier Elementary and kind of shows you a glimpse into their classrooms. And of course, their website, which has a lot more information. All right, that is Whittier Elementary School. They are doing so many great things as far as personalized education, teacher teams, and empowering students to own their learning. I really hope you've enjoyed exploring this resource and that it became a premium quality idea that lit the light bulb over your head. Thank you, Whittier Elementary School. Coffee cheers. All right. I'm going to end today with a funny anecdote from when I taught grade 1 in India. We were teaching a unit called Patterns in the Sky, which is all about the path the sun makes during the day and about shadows and light. So, my co-teacher and I wanted to take the students outside. It was finally a beautiful day. The AQI, Air Quality Index, was low enough that we could really go be outside, not just have our 10 minutes, 20 minutes of recess. So we took them across campus to a grassy area and we asked them to take photos on their iPads of each other with their shadows and try to make the shadows do interesting things. Many kids were like curling up in a ball or raising their hands like they were a big bear. It was really fun. So the kids were getting a little tired and I basically invented a game, which I did not invent, but on the spot I came up with this idea that we should play shadow tag. So essentially the students had to chase each other and try to step on each other's shadow. It was really fun and the kids were running all over the place trying to jump over different rocks and trying to hide in spots where they couldn't find their shadow because it was already a shadow spot, such as under a tree. It was really exciting and I think it helped them learn the idea of shadows. Anyway, it was great fun, and for the next couple of weeks before COVID made us go remote, the kids loved playing shadow tag at recess. All right, that is all for today. Thank you for joining me for a premium quality idea. I'm Christina, and I'm out of coffee. I'll see you later. Bye.